Hi knitters, welcome to episode 170 of the Knitty McPurly podcast. I am your host, Devin Ventry. You can find me online at KnittyMcPurly.com. I am Knitty McPurly on Instagram, and if you want to email me, I'm Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com. What do you think? I have changed things up just a little bit. Doesn't it look great? How about my new chair? Oh man, I love it so much. My kids keep sitting in it and like smushing the pillow. Is that too weird? How are you guys today? It is a wonderful Sunday. It's very overcast and dark. I actually feel like the light in here is pretty good. I've got all the lights on. It's still not very bright, but whatever. Welcome. We are in the thick of spring. The weather is starting to warm up. The pollen is out in full force. I was walking the other day and I saw a literal cloud of pollen. So that brings me to the most important question of the day, and that is, what are you knitting? Are you knitting cold weather knits, or have you moved over into the summer knitting? Now, I know you guys live all over. I've got people in northern Canada and I've got people in the swamps of Florida. So, some people knit warm weather stuff all year long out of cotton, and other people are still working their fisherman's sweaters mid-May. So I would love to hear what you are working on. I am drinking out of my brand new Ohio mug. Whoop whoop, from Kathy. Thank you so much, Kathy. I love this mug so much. And the main reason, and I don't even think Kathy knows this, is that I am from Ohio, Kathy. My parents and grandparents are from Ohio. Like when the people came over on the boat from Europe, that's where they settled for both my parents and grandparents. Although my mom's side goes back in the United States a lot longer. But anyway, Kathy hand wrote me a note, which was like, oh my gosh, a handwritten note. But she goes through and she lists all of these fun facts about Ohio. On the map are a lot of cool attractions and cities and places where you can get hot dogs and good food. Now, my family is from the eastern side, right about here in the Canton, New Philadelphia area. My dad was from Steubenville and my mom was from Lisbon. So all of those are in this area here, but it's a big state. There's a lot of stuff in Ohio. But in the note, she says 8 presidents were from Ohio. I think the only state to rival that is Virginia. The Wright brothers were from Ohio. That's why Ohio claims the birthplace of aviation, even though their flight happened in North Carolina. First man to walk on the moon, Neil Armstrong from Ohio. First gas station, first hot dog, of course, because of all the Germans that settled there, right? First chewing gum, first light bulb, first traffic signal. I knew that one. Cleveland, I think, right? First vacuum cleaner, first cash register. The state treat is the Buckeye, and Buckeyes are also the name of a candy that's like a chocolate covered peanut butter ball. I know all this stuff, Kathy, because I am from there. But if you're not from there, there's some fun facts about Ohio, and I just love this mug. This is like my 3rd cup of coffee, so I'm right on the border of like, okay, let's get into it. Progress and shop news. I have 2 big things coming up this weekend. Retreat signups go up Friday at noon, Friday, March 22nd. It was not this past Friday. Some people thought it was. It is this coming Friday at noon Eastern time. Some people in the comments from last week wrote that they already signed up. People who came to the last retreat got to do early registration. So there are still plenty of spots left if you did not go last time, so don't worry. I don't know how fast they will go. I really don't know. The economy is different now than it was 2 years ago, and costs are up, so I don't know what it's going to look like. But if you want to go to the retreat, if you're like, I am definitely going, I super want to go, then log in on Friday at noon or, shortly thereafter and get your spot. Last week, I talked about all the details of it, so I'm not going to go over that again. I am going to turn off this fan though, because it's kind of cold in here. So if you missed that, go check out last week's podcast, and it has all the details about the retreat. Okay, the second thing is I am having a local meetup at the winery at the Sunshine Ridge Winery in Gainesville, Virginia. Next Sunday, a week from today, Palm Sunday, March 24th from 1 to 3. So we're going to eat, we're going to sip, we're going to knit. It's going to be fun. I hope you can make it if you live locally. Gigi will be there. Gigi's coming with me. I know you guys miss Gigi. She has been working on mainly school projects, and she just, you know how it is when you're 14, and so you pick something up and you do it a lot and then you put it down and you don't do it for 6 months. So that's where she is. But I hope that she really wants to come next week, and that's going to be really fun. And so she'll have to bring something to work on, and hopefully that will, reignite that for her. But I hope you can make it. If you can, and you're planning on coming, leave me a comment and let me know. Some people I have heard from over time, but not recently, so I don't know who's going to be there. But whatever, it's going to be great no matter who comes. Coming also on Friday is the Easter balm that I talked about last time, sanctum, depending on how deep in the United States you are and how far away you are from the Latin pronunciation. This was inspired by my friend Vanessa, who said you should make a chrism balm, and also by a candle that I heard about online that is like smells and bells. It's like frankincense and myrrh, and it's just so great. So I actually have this balm all made and ready to go. I didn't want to bring it up and show it to you because I don't have the labels yet. That's what I'm waiting on. They should arrive this week. The labels are amazing. I am in love with how these labels came out. So I will show it next week on the podcast. It will go in the shop on Friday, barring, any unexpected events. So if you want to go get that on Friday, go ahead and do that. Probably noon. I'll do everything at noon. The balm and the retreat signups will go up on Friday. Yeah, it's going to be there is a limited run of them. I have what I have, and when they sell out, they will be gone for this Easter season. However, this is a perennial scent. So I will definitely be doing it every Easter, maybe even Christmas too, because frankincense and myrrh, right? We need that at Christmas and Easter. There will be a newsletter going out on Friday. I sent one out last Friday, and I was like, you guys, how did I wait like an entire month between sending out newsletters? Just a lot happened, I guess. I don't know. You know how it is. Anyway, I'm just going to show you again. I haven't worked out all the bugs of my new system here. Basically, I just wanted to show the chair. My husband gave me so much grief about it. He gave me not so much. He gave me a little bit of laughing grief about the chair because I tend to buy chairs that are really beautiful like this one and comfy because I wanted to sit in it first to make sure it was comfy. But he's like, that chair is going to fall apart in like a week, right? Maybe it will and maybe it won't. And who cares? It's beautiful. Its whole job is to sit there and look beautiful. And I think that it's doing it really well. Okay, so just a reminder, you guys loved River Rock that I showed last week. Someone commented that it matches my hair. It kind of does. It's like Devin's hair color. It's brown with a little bit of blonde mixed in. I got tons of orders, you guys. I think you must have missed me that week that I wasn't here because last week, 1 million people watched my podcast, comparatively speaking, and 1 million people bought yarn. So I think you just were missing me, and you but you love this color. I love it too. I think it is so just classy and beautiful. I love it so much that I wear it on my head all the time. Also, the March color of the month is available in Dubrovnik DK and Frankfurt Fingering. It's just gorgeous. It's a mix of dusty and the River Rock that I just chucked over there, and Black Forest Cake speckles. So a lot of you, I can tell, bought yarn with sweaters in mind. I could just tell by the quantities and the way that they were arranged that I'm gonna see some sweaters in these. Please send them to me. Put them on Instagram. If I don't see it, if I don't say anything, that means I didn't see it. But you can send me a message or send me an email or leave me a comment. Just basically knock on my door until I respond. And then I have the sock set for March. March's sock set of the month, which is the color of the month and a dusty 20-gram mini. Cannot wait to see the socks that you guys work up with these. Oh man. All right, so I have been working on my wildflower tee a little bit. I'm not sure how much I had last week and what I showed you. I think I'm a little bit further than last week, little bit. So, oh, it's gorgeous, isn't it? This is the Wildflower Tee by Wise Owl Knits. I will link it below in case you are interested. There is a knit along happening right now, and she's got all kinds of stuff for the knit along, like a Telegram group and I don't know, probably a hashtag, but you can see. Now, all I have left, I'm out of the blue, the Fathom colorway and the Dusty. So all I have left is the Valentine, the Trinket, and the Meadow. And so I think I'm just gonna be doing that until the bottom. I don't really remember how it ends. I feel like it has an I-cord bind off, but I think just like for the top, I'm going to be doing ribbing instead. I just like ribbing. I don't know. I'm gonna talk a little bit about I-cords today in our knitting fantasies because I do think they have a place for sure. So, as I mentioned last week, my husband had surgery on Friday. It was spine surgery, so it was a little scary, but apparently it was very simple spine surgery. And he'd been in pain for months. And so he really immediately felt better, which was great. Did anybody see Dr. Death or listen to that podcast when it was on iHeartRadio or whatever? He was the spinal surgeon who killed people. So I was nervous, I wanted to meet the doctor and I wanted to talk to him. And, there's a million great spine surgeons out there, but one of them goes around killing people and they all get a bad rap. I mean, that's life, right? Anyway, it was great. It was wonderful. He has been up and about. He's doing better than before the surgery. And he just got cut open. So that has been really nice. But anyway, for some reason, I really wanted a new cast on for the waiting room. I just wanted to focus on something new and not do mindless knitting, which is what the Wildflower Tee is right now. It's very simple. And I needed something which actually is even simpler, but I had to wrap my head around it. So I just needed something to distract me in the waiting room. And I had talked last week on Knitting Fantasies about a couple of things that I was thinking about, and I really thought about those, but ultimately decided that what I wanted for the summer was a tank top, and I wanted it to be in fingering weight. So the one I showed last week was in sport weight, but I really wanted to use Freetown fingering. That is a Knitty McPurly yarn that's amazing. It's so soft, it's organic merino wool, it's a single ply, and it has a little bit of a halo. It just blooms when you wash it, which something like Frankfurt, which is more of a sock yarn, Frankfurt fingering is a high twist, superwash sock yarn that you can use for sweaters too, but they're very, very different, even though they're the same yarn weight. So I wanted to use the Frankfurt fingering. So I chose this camisole by Kadri. It's a fingering weight, and it's just a beautiful pattern. I really, really like the details of it. Now, this one, I'm not looking at the pattern right now, but I believe doesn't have an I-cord around the bottom. Pretty sure it does. So I started working on that, and that brings me into this week's topic of the week, which is this. When a pattern presents you with something new to you, like a new cast on or a new increase or decrease, or a new short row technique that's, maybe not new, but it's new to you. Let's say you have your pet increase and your pet cast on and your pet short row technique, and you kind of use those all the time without branching out. Are you that person? I tend to be that person who has her pets. I have the ones that I use, and if you suggest another one, I might say, well, what am I going to use? What am I going to do? How am I going to just do this my own way? And with this particular pattern, I just didn't do that. She recommended a left lifted increase and a right lifted increase. So I made a little video showing my two pet increases, which is a knit front and back and a backwards loop. And I'm sure most of you probably know what that looks like, but here's a video showing what those look like. And then I show you the lifted increases. And while I think for this pattern and probably most patterns, any of them would work, they do look slightly different. I tend to think that knitters break down into two camps, which was confirmed by the comments last week when I talked about color dominance and how it's fake and how it doesn't really exist. It's two camps. Some people are like, I totally see color dominance. I hold my yarns accordingly and it exists. There it is. Other people are like, I don't know, whatever. I mean, I don't see it. It's not there. I don't care. I don't want to think about it. And so these differences that I'm about to point out with the increases are very similar to that. You're going to have the camp of people that says, I totally see them. They're very different. They shine at me like a beacon of glowing red light. And other people that are like, those are pretty much the same. I am one of the easygoing crowd of whatever. It's all going to look fine in the end. I might see it. Color dominance, I still don't see. These increases, I do see the difference, but I think, again, you could use them if you wanted to. They're just going to look slightly different. So here is that video. Okay, so I wanted to start by just going over a couple of basic increases that we all use a lot. So this one is the knit front and back increase, and you can see that there are these little bars that go like that here and over here. Okay, so typically when I do a knit front and back, I want that little bar to be next to the first stitch. So on the first stitch, I'll do the knit front and back there, and then I'll knit to the end. And then what you do is you knit to the last stitch, and right here is where I want my bar to be. So on that second to last stitch, I'm going to knit front and back there, and then knit the last one. And I think that this, I'm going to call this the most visible increase because you can see boom, 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 boom. You can see those little bars right there. But I don't think it looks bad. I've used this increase a lot. I think it looks really good. So that's the knit front and back. This one is the backwards loop, and it is slightly less visible. You can still see where, those are not increases, I don't think. But here you can see it a little bit better on that side. There's two increases there. So to do the backwards loop, you just knit the first stitch, do a backwards loop, and then knit to the last stitch and do another backwards loop. So when I get there, just do a backwards loop and then knit the last stitch. And in my humble opinion, I think it is slightly more invisible, though I do think you can still see them right there, right there, right there, and right there. It's just more of a, I don't know, you can just see where they are. I find this to be a little harder to see, but those are them right there, 1, 2, 3. But I think that this is a little bit less visible than the knit front and back. So those are the two increases that I would tend to use. And when I came across this pattern by Kadri, I thought I could do that. I could use what I'm comfortable with, or I could learn something new. So I really liked the way that her pattern looks. It has a beautiful slip stitch edge on it, and I do think that the increases look really nice. This is the first triangle that I have made. So this is the first one that I did, and I blocked it so that you could see it. So you start out with a provisional cast on, and then we have these lifted increases. Okay, so this is the one that I'm currently working on. Of course, it is stockinette, and so it rolls up. Also, this is Freetown fingering, which is a single ply fingering weight. It was perfect for this pattern. Hopefully, and this is in the pewter colorway, which is a light gray. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. So on this side of the pattern, I don't want to give away any of Kadri's intellectual property, so I won't say too much, but all I'm going to say is that we're doing the left lifted increase. So this is our stitch right here that we would work, and then this is the stitch below it. So I'm just going to lift up the left leg of this stitch and put it on the needle. Now it's going to want to fight with that stitch right there. So if you keep your finger here, then you'll keep this guy in his place. He's going to want to jump over and go over here, but you have to stop him from doing that. And then you just knit it, and then you knit the next stitch, and you just keep going to the end. Now, in my opinion, and my knitting is not perfect, don't look too close. I've made some mistakes, but it is a very invisible increase. You really don't see it at all. Now, the right leaning increase, which we're going to do at the other end of the triangle, is a little bit more visible. So let me knit across these stitches, and then I will show you how to work that. Okay, so here I am at my last two stitches. Now, in order to work the right lifted increase, I'm going to go ahead and knit that stitch as usual. So we have the stitch that we just knit, the one below that, and the one below that. Now the one below that is the one that we want. And this is the right lifted increase because I'm going into the right leg of that stitch, the third one down, and I'm going to lift it up, and I'm going to knit through the back loop. And that's how you work the right lifted increase. Now, this one is pretty good too in terms of being invisible, but I think you can see it a little bit more. So I am really glad that I tried these lifted increases. It's fun to learn something new, and I really think that they turned out great. That said, I think I could have worked any increase that I wanted, but I am glad that I challenged myself to learn something new. After I finished filming last week's episode, I realized that I forgot the comments section. I was out of practice. Like, you miss 1 week and then all bets are off. So I had so many amazing comments on last week's episode. I had like 50, and I picked out a bunch. It was really hard for me to pick because there were so many good ones, but I will just read to you a few of them. Stevens Defense Academy says, I literally gasped when I heard you say your next scent will be chrism based. As a Catholic mom, I'm a bit of a chrism addict, and I think there is nothing better than a newly baptized baby with a chrism anointed head to sniff. I cannot wait to literally get my hands on that balm. I agree. It is amazing. And Gigi has confirmation this year, so they'll slather her all up with the chrism too. I think they get it on the hands and the feet, and it's a Catholic thing. But it just smells amazing. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to share it with you because it is so good. Pam Knits 2 said, I have to admit I was a little lost last Sunday without you, but I'm happy you enjoyed a well-deserved vacation. My birthday was today, March 10th, and it was a lovely day with my grandkids. Happy birthday, Pam. Happy birthday late. I love the new colorway, and I'm considering a sock set since I've become addicted to sock knitting. Charlotte was just adorable, and as a grandma, I would love that bowl. A treasure to the heart. You really can't ever have too many little bowls. I feel like I have a million of them. I even have bowls that neighbor kids made at school, and somehow I have ended up with them. And I use them all the time, like for stitch markers or just little trinkets, earrings, whatever it is, that you have laying about. Dilly Dahlia said, your new color is so sophisticated and gorgeous, and that March colorway. Ugh. Also, thank you for your comments about color dominance in stranded knitting. I totally agree. I just can't be bothered. I swear I heard Arnie and Carlos say once that there is no concept of color dominance in Norwegian knitting. If the Norwegians aren't the kings of colorwork knitting, I don't know who is. Okay, it's definitive. It's really not, because I've had other commenters say the opposite. I had this idea of an enamel pin with like a spinner that says color dominance, and then it would spin to say either does or does not exist. Wouldn't that be cool? I think that would be cool. I gotta look. It came in my head and I haven't had a chance to realize it at all. Selfish Knitter says, so many good and exciting things in this episode. I had so much fun at the first Knitty McPurly retreat and would highly recommend it. I met so many genuinely nice people, and the optional classes were fantastic. Yes, that is the best part of my retreat. The people who come. I somehow attract just the most wonderful people in the world. Like the people at the hotel commented, they were like, how did you find this group? How are all these people so wonderful? And I was like, I don't know. They just are. So, but it's real. Liz Knit said, I wish the retreat would have day passes for shopping the yarns. That would be awesome. That is a great suggestion, and one that I just had not considered, because many people probably are local. Does anybody have any thoughts on that? If you have any recommendations or thoughts on that, comment them or send me an email or whatever, because I love that idea, so that people who are local, who maybe want to stop in, don't have to commit to the whole deal. I love that idea. Karen Red Baron said, I would be interested to know what started your knitting retreat. It sounds amazing. I have been to several knitting conventions and fiber festivals as a vendor employee. It was so awesome to go without having to pay for it, but since I was working, I didn't get to mingle or learn or absorb the vibe. But I always enjoyed meeting all the knitters and crafters that came to our booth. I started it for a couple of reasons. I have been to things too, and I've said this before, the overall effect at some events is not friendly, and it's very geared towards elite knitters, and people come to see the elite knitters, but the burden of cost is on the attendees, and the elite knitters tend to stick together. Like, I didn't really feel like they wanted to hang out with us as, just the regular people. So I wanted a retreat that was by regular people for regular knitters, just a fun, friendly togetherness knitting kind of thing. The Arkansas yarn retreat that I'm attending in September, I think, is very similar to that. It's friendly, and that's what it's about. It's meeting new people, meeting new knitters, and hanging out together. Okay, Knock Knit said, Devin, thank you so much for the shout out. I'm so glad you like the socks. I'm excited to line all the socks up next to each other at the end of the year. So Knock Knits has been making socks out of my yarn sets since January. She's trying to do them every month. And she said, somehow I lost one of my February socks. What? I think this proves that there is a gremlin in our house eating socks, because I always put my hand knits in a particular spot and it still went missing somehow. This probably sounds ridiculous, but I'm gonna go back and knit another one because I still have plenty of the February color left, and it's just that important to me to have them all at the end of the year. I totally get it. I feel like they were shorter socks, so you should have time to knit another one. Professor Pearl said, I very much see color dominance and can readily tell. Oh gosh, just don't look too closely at any of my sweaters, okay? It's very easy to do, just a matter of being consistent with how you hold your yarn or choose to hold your yarn. I love it in a multiple colorwork sweater piece, thinking about the parts I want to pop and the parts that I do not. Well, this person's name is Professor Pearl, so I'm not surprised that they are very precise and specific and that they notice all the details. Yarn Chicken and Stuff, that's Tara. Hi, Tara, said, I am looking forward to getting some Sanctum. I get some amazing soap from an Orthodox monastery that smells like incense. That's what this smells like. I love the churchy smells. Me too. Also, I love River Rock and will need to figure out what to make with it. I love a good brown. Me too. I love a good brown. I also have a husband who doesn't like to travel, so we tend to argue about vacations. Yep. And he didn't even go on the last one that I planned. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the Arkansas retreat, and of course, I want to attend yours. Grapevine is a good choice as I lived there many, many years ago. I'll need to go to El Phoenix. I don't know what that is, but yes, Tara, you're my new travel buddy, all right? Just send me an email and say, this is where we're going next, and I will be in on it. I'll help you plan. A Sparkle says, hi, Devin. I don't really see yarn dominance either. And Amy is a very precise knitter, and she doesn't even see it. So she says, I'm a thrower, but learned Continental many years ago because I wanted to be faster. However, I'm still faster as a thrower, but now I can knit color work with one color in each hand. Keeps my tension great and easy to catch floats. I didn't discuss catching floats in the last week's episode, mainly because I don't do it. I feel like I would rather have a long float than potentially see that caught float. When you stretch something, you can see caught floats, especially when the colors are so different, such as in my wildflower sweater where I have the background is that white Jovis and my colors are so bright and saturated. I feel like if I caught the floats, you would see them. But again, I also don't knit with huge long floats. I tend to like shorter ones just because they're more fun. Sharon said, I do color work with both hands. A lot of you do that. And the color I hold in my left hand, that yarn will lay under the other one, will stand out as dominant. So I hold what I think of the accent color in that hand and the background color in my right hand. I suspect the color dominance will show up more with some knitters than others, depending on how they knit. I would love to come to the retreat, but my husband reacted to the cost, especially when added to what it looks like the airfare will be. I know that things are expensive all around, and the price is the best it can be, so I'm not criticizing it. I'm going to pray all week and revisit it with my husband next weekend and trust in the result to God's influence. Prayers for your husband this week too. Yeah, no, that's a really good point, Sharon. Costs are up. They're up everywhere. It used to be, for my family of 6, I grocery shop every week, and I used to spend about $200 a week, $200 to $250 a week on groceries. And now I'm spending $450 consistently on groceries. Anyway, yes, I get it. I get it. The economy is different. And a lot of you, I hope you can make it. If you can't, don't worry about it. I will take lots of pictures and I'll show them up on the podcast and you'll feel like you were there. Okay, moving right along to knitting fantasies. So, as I told you, I have cast on, and showed you too in that little video, I have cast on an awesome tank top by Kadri. One thing about tank tops is I hate when they are too low, like where the armholes are too low and it just comes down too low. And so I feel like knitting my own, I can make just the shortest little I cords here so that I feel like I can wear it and have coverage. So what I am currently thinking about right now are fingering weight tank tops. I want ones that I can wear in the summer. I have my Diggory tees and I definitely wear those in the summer, but I want something that's even a little bit less coverage up here so that it will be cooler and I will not get so hot. Now, I went looking for some and a lot of them I didn't like. They were either too plain or too basic or just had shaping I wasn't interested in. It's hard to do well, I think. I think Kadri does it really well. And I also found this top by Petite Knit called the Cumulus top. She has a Cumulus line. There is a sweater, full length sleeve sweater. There's a t-shirt that has short sleeves, and this one she calls the Cumulus top, which is very similar to the one that I'm already making, except that there are I-cords all around the edges at the top, and the bottom has a sewn edge. So the construction is similar, but it is different enough that if I like this one and I want to make another one, I might make this one by Petite Knit, because I really wanted to make it in my River Rock colorway, but it was like my husband's surgery was happening that day, and I'm like, okay, I need something that is dyed and ready to go that I can make right now. And so I went with pewter for that one because it will go with absolutely everything. Light gray, yes, but the next one I make, I'm gonna make it in River Rock. Same Freetown fingering because I just love it. It is so soft. That's what I made my Diggory tee, that's the Bosque one, is in the Freetown. It is a wonderful yarn. Because it is organic and non-superwash, it doesn't stretch when you block it, like almost at all. You really, what you get when you're knitting is what you're gonna get in your finished gauge. And I just love it. So I'm thinking about making this one just to try some new things. The I-cord edge here, I believe, is picked up after the fact. It's not a part of, you know, the construction. Again, you do like the 4 triangles. Both of them are top down. Both the Kadri camisole and the Cumulus top by Petite Knit are top down, which I found interesting. I kind of felt like these would be good candidates for bottom up, but then you are decreasing here as opposed to increasing, and that is going to look a little bit different. Okay, my second pick is the Soho top by Kadri. This is so classy and beautiful, and I guess it technically is a fingering weight because you hold fingering yarns double, which makes it more of a worsted. So I don't know, that kind of lowers it down. I don't want it to be too hot. But what would be interesting to try is using something like the Freetown fingering held together with a Surrey silk, because that would probably be just under, you know, it's not the same. That's a lace weight and a fingering weight. It's not going to be the same as 2 fingering weights, but I could see what gauge I get with that and potentially go up a needle size to try to get gauge. So it's going to be a little bit warmer. Also, it comes up higher and it just, you know, covers more, which is going to make it less wearable in the heat of the summer. I looked at the sizing, and this model is the same size as me. We are the same size, and she made the 4th size, and that takes about 325 grams, which would be a commitment of 4 skeins of yarn. So the Kadri top, the camisole that I'm currently making, I'm making the 2nd size, and and that only takes 1 skein of yarn, which is really nice. I like that it's only 1 skein. It's not a big commitment in time or materials. This one would take considerably more yarn. So I don't know, we'll see. I think after I knit this one, I'll decide if I want to make another one, or maybe I'll go back to what I said last week. It was the one by Jessie Made, the color one. These are my colors or something like that. I will link all these patterns down below in case you're like, what are you even talking about? I'll have all that down below so you can click it and see it. But that Colorwork sweater that I showed last week was really, really pretty. I like that a lot. So we'll see. Okay. So here's what happened. I just almost forgot the name of that segment. I think this is a super Catholic episode with our chrism talk And now I have a story from a lovely podcast watcher named Rose, who is a Eucharistic minister. I think she said at the hospital, and she incorporated her knitting into that. So here is Rose's story. She says, "Hi, Devin. I love your podcast and never miss an episode since finding you on YouTube. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to all of you who are here every week. That is just so wonderful." Rose says, "Here is my story. I have just begun going to a local hospital as a Eucharistic minister to deliver the Holy Eucharist to patients and their families. The hosts are held in a pyx, and that's like a little gold box. I wanted a secure way to carry the pyx without worrying that it would fall out of my pocket or that I'd lay it down somewhere in the hospital and lose it and its precious contents. I wanted something to wear around my neck, close to my heart with easy access to the pyx when needed. So I decided to knit a little pouch. It was last Sunday. I scoured Ravelry for a pattern, but I couldn't find one that was just right. However, I was inspired by some fabulousness there, and with that began planning my own rendition. I grabbed my yarn and tuned into your podcast. I began knitting an I-cord for the straps when, lo and behold, you started talking about how great I-cords are. Remember that from a couple weeks ago? She says, I love them too. I took this as a sign that I was on the right track and continued on. It didn't take long, and I had a finished pyx purse to wear around my neck. I even embroidered a heart on it. Then the negative voice in my head started to question whether this might look goofy or not good enough. But I stifled that voice. I was doing this. I used it on my next visit to the hospital, and wow, it was wonderful. I love it. Even the patients noticed and commented so graciously on it. Most importantly, it is secure around my neck, and I don't have to worry about losing the pyx anymore. So glad I didn't listen to that voice. Devin, thank you for being you. You inspire me to be me." Wow, that is the best compliment ever. Oh my gosh. Rose, you are so smart and your knitting is amazing. This just looks so good. I love it. It looks like, and she uses the word embroidered, and I think it looks like duplicate stitch where you just went over top of the stitches to make the heart. And the way that you did the flame is just so, so beautiful. I love it. And it looks so good on, like it gives it its proper place of importance. It's just so, so good. And I apologize. Rose sent me this a month ago. Remember when I said that I was going to get back to people right away? I really tried, and I do sometimes, which I guess I should take that. I should take the win, right? Take the win that I do get back to people promptly some of the time. But I hope you didn't feel like I didn't love the story, because I absolutely did. I read it right when I got it, and I thought, not only is this just so great and creative, sometimes a concept can be good, but an execution is not good. But Rose got concept and execution. Like, she just did such a good job. Yeah, awesome. We all need to stifle that voice in our head that says, should I do this? I don't know. It reminds me of my Faucette pattern, which is my best-selling pattern ever. I have sold more Faucette patterns than probably all my other patterns combined. People all over the world have knit it. And I remember when I was doing it going, are people gonna like this? I don't know. Maybe I don't know, should I even publish it? Like, these are the voices in our head. And Stephen West has said things like that too. Things that he's like, I don't know about this. They turn out to be the thing that everyone loves and makes over and over again. So don't listen to the voice in your head that says it's not good. Listen to that voice that says, I'm doing this. I hope you have a wonderful week. If you are local, I hope you will join me next Sunday at the winery. And until then, I hope you have a wonderful week of knitting. See you next time. Bye.